Howdy, how's it going? Kami Kyodai here with another little tutorial. So this one I taught at the Zoom class and I've been analyzing it further and I found this other way to do it. I don't know why, but the Zoom client died on me. So it goes, but I was trying to record the thing and I think my computer was just can't handle it, I guess. I don't know why. I'm spending a lot of time inside folding pretty much and trying to get done with the work that's been pending. It's very easy for me to get distracted because the main source of my distraction is folding. Like right now, I should be working, but this is my new work. This is what I want to do, so this is what I'm going to do, right? Get a square first and we can cut this away. So the pattern we did was pretty straightforward, I think, and it has a lot of potential to be replicated and sort of found within and within and within, and you can just keep that going. And so we need eightfold division in several places. We need it at the center. It also depends on what you're trying to do. The more lines usually that you put into this, the better. Okay, so now we're going for the preliminary fold. This is what this is called, the preliminary fold. Pretty much we have two mountains and then between them we want to put in a valley. And the way we do that is pretty much just raising these mountains up like this and then making them touch. So if mountains touch, the fold between them is going to be a bisection. So right now we're just working with a square. Pretty neat eightfold division. This is a pretty classical pattern too. There's nothing you haven't seen before, right? But still, we're still in the Islamic origami domain. We're still trying to somewhat figure out what other things we can find. And to my surprise, there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Now it's not to anybody's surprise. Get a square like this, and now our centers, or where we want our divisions to happen, are here and in the middle. We don't have these points yet, so we're gonna wait a minute. First off, we need to divide this into eighths. So we have these divided into fourths, right? This is a fourth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we want to do is divide these into halves. And the way we do that is we pretty much just get this bounce going. We put the spine, this is what I call that, the spine. We put the spine right on the middle line. You can see that it matches, it keeps on going, it falls right between, and then we can put this little door, this little crease, put it on top, and if we did it right, these two should be congruent, i.e. the same. And so what was once 1 is now 2, and then we move on to the next, do the same thing. The square has a lot of intimate properties with a lot of other shapes. So a lot of patterns naturally gravitate towards it. And that's not even only in Islamic geometry, just in nature, in pattern design. So a lot of designs are based off this idea of a square or a parallelogram. But the square is a parallelogram of excellence, like the most excellent parallelogram, right? So yeah, we're doing all this, just folding in half, folding in half. And so now we have 8 little bits and we can have balance. The idea is to have balance, and so we divide it in halves. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, one hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, other hand. Just like that we have 8, right? So we open it up. And as we said, the points that we were going to focus on are right between these squares. It's in quadrants, right? Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, or whatever you want to call it. So just by this reasoning, by what we're working with, this line represents this whole division we're having here. Okay, so we want to shift this and put it over here, so we can anticipate things. For instance, we can anticipate that this is a mountain, and so when we move it, the line that goes through is also going to be a mountain, which means that if I fold this way, it's not wrong, but I can anticipate and just get ahead of myself. Now this is a very basic pattern, so again, this could serve as a base. There are many ways to do this pattern. There are many ways to break down what is about to happen. But in essence, well, you see what I mean. You'll see what I mean when it happens. So I'm just dividing this into further quadrants, right? So now, instead of having 4 quadrants, we've just divided our 2 by 2 into a 4 by 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty basic. Center in 8s. And now here, right here, we also want it to be divided in 8s, and also over here. Okay, so we have these 2 mountains. Remember what I said in the beginning about the mountains connecting? So we want to connect these 2 mountains, and we can do it this way that I'm doing it right now, which is pretty much just like the manual, isolating the edge and putting it down to touch that edge. That's a hack. That's a trick that you can do. In the Zoom class, we started by folding the silver rectangle. It has very interesting properties. We're going to have to look at that in another video. For now, we're just going to stick with this Islamic pattern. So now I have my fold across. It's right where I want it to cross. So what I can do now is I'm going to fold it down, and I'm going to notice, I'm going to look for something I can hack, something I can tap into. And for now, it's this point. So apparently, just so happens that this line is going to cross all the way into here. And that will be the line that goes through this point. So just by this reference alone, I can avoid doing all this thing about putting mountains together, right? So I can just mark all 8 of them. And so it's going to be right across. So it's this point on this line. So where the line ends, that's where I'm going to take it. What this also implies is that between the edge, the point and the edge, and this point, this line goes right through the middle. So this line is right between these 2 points. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So this one, and with confidence, and we see that we hit it. So these 2 are done. We shift. This one, we follow it, we take it down. It's this guy. We'll also see that this line touches as well. And these and this also. This one doesn't, but you know, we may just not have that reference yet. Same, this line, this point goes. You can try to match other lines as well. So if this looks right but then this doesn't, you can arrange so that all of them look right. So the righter it gets, the better your pattern will be. So you can see that it's starting to happen. It's starting to sort of come forth. Sort of. You can see this. You can see that it matches there. We take this guy over here. That guy matches. We fold down. We rotate. We take. We go up. I'm going fast just because it's a YouTube video. And whatever. You can pause it. You can stop it. And I guess it looks less daunting when you look at a length of a video and it says 15 minutes instead of like 25. It's like, damn, like, do I have 25 minutes? But what I want you to grasp is just the basic concepts of it. So you don't have to like do it with me at the same speed I do it, but just so you can see sort of what's happening. So we have this right here is what I call a kiss in the, yeah, we'll see what I mean. But for now, we need more divisions. We need more of these. We need more of these. The next guy is over here. So it's actually the star is going to be here and the other star is going to be on the corner. And the stars are going to meet at this point. So we divide further just to give that division to that line. And also we're going to see some nice relationships come forth here. Some root 2 division, some root 2 references. It's real nice. Like that. And so, for instance, we have this guy. Well, it's not surprising. Oh, well, we have that it goes right to the point that I marked. Goes right there between this line. Hits that point as well. So we can infer by this relationship that it is important, that somehow there's some significance to that point. And that significance might lead us in the right direction, to some further clue, to something that we've not yet seen. Also, we'll notice, well, this happens either way, whatever I do, but that's also a relationship that these sorts of division have on the square. So you'll see how these lines that I'm dividing, that I'm putting in, actually match themselves. See, this line matches with this guy, and so this one, but this one comes from here, so there's some intimacy happening. And the thing, I was listening to Eric Weinstein, he's a physicist, no, he's a mathematician, and apparently like he just published like his theory of what could be a theory of everything. He calls it geometric unity. It's very interesting, but not the theory itself. I haven't gotten into that yet, but more like the logic of what he's going through, trying to explain, of being the center of ridicule, of being, you know, like weirdly phased out by people who are not really into that kind of thing. Like, he's being interviewed by a guy like about the theory of everything, and he goes, "Oh, you know the direct equation?" And he's like, what does it mean to know? It's like, exactly, man. Like, and he doesn't say, he's like, yeah, you got what I mean. Rather, like, you don't know. Like, you heard about Einstein and shit. You heard about all these things, but you haven't heard about the direct equation. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I don't even know about that. But he goes like, that's a very important part of where the physicists are at. So, and that's been around for like 90 years. So he makes interesting points, but he also says that because he names the things he does, he gets sidetracked sometimes. He gets lost in it. And like just like I did, right? So this next line we're gonna find is a bounce of this guy, and we're gonna combine it with this guy. But for a bounce, we need it to be opposite. So for right now, we're gonna convert this one. Well, again, this is just a scouting. This is what I call scouting. We're just trying to look for the relationship we need. We only need to do this once, but you know, no rules. But yeah, I mean, what Eric was trying to say is that when you do things on your own, you name things and then you get sort of lost in what you name things. And so I sometimes call it a kiss, I sometimes call it harmony, all these different points touching and whatnot. So it goes to there. And there it is. That's my reference point. So that is this radial division combined with my quadrant division. So here, and then if it was quadrants, it's going to be here. So eightfold division, and then when it hits the quadrant, right there, I go to my next guy, boom, quadrant, quadrant, next guy, pop, pop. And so now, I figured out that it was just corner to that point, so now I'm just going to take corner to that point, and again corner to that point. So there's always a way to do things easier. So what I'm presenting is just the way that I'm doing it right now. But this does not mean that this is the only way, or even that this is even close to the potential that this pattern has. You could even make more divisions, make it even smaller, and make your paper actually, you know, make the most of it. Also see that the line goes right through the point. And what I mean by that is we could also have a division that instead of having a 4x4, we could go an 8x8, right? Go another half and try to get like, the pattern is going to be more resolute, it's going to have more resolution, right? All right, next point we need requires us to have fold the corners to the center. This could have been done a while ago, by the way. So as you can see, there's not really a rhyme and reason to this. I mean, the rhyme and reason is there, but the order in which we do things is not arbitrary, but sometimes it is. It's just a matter of choice. Like, what do you want to see first? And sometimes I'd rather see the hard things happen first. And I consider some of these things to be the harder ones. Like, for instance, the one that was over there was sort of kind of hard, I guess. The reason we needed this it's because this pattern requires this line to bounce as well. This line that goes from this point, you can see that it goes, and then I want it here to bounce. So first I'm going to fold the line I want to bounce off. So this line is the one I want to copy, and then this line is the one that's gonna help me copy it. And there it is. So now I take that, I put it up, and there it is, my relationship. As you can see, we have the same point we had before, which means that I could have saved some folds because we already had this point, see? So I could have avoided this half division. It still looks nice, it's gonna help us either way. But yeah, so that happened, which means that if we take this line like we did before, you could have done it from all the way over here in our steps. That is to say, the first thing we did, which was to go to this point, as soon as we did to that point, we could have just equated it, going like, all right, I'm just gonna match you, and just match it. And that could have been it, that could have been good enough. But now, since we did it out of sync, because we're still figuring it out, right? We're still discovering this thing. Because I want you to discover it with me. Even though I might have the answers, I want you to follow the process of what it might be like to see this happen. Instead of me just going like, do step A, do step B, did you do step C? But no, I want you to see how this thing becomes. Because this is a consequence, see? And then once you know something, once you sort of figure it out, once you get attuned to the nature of the phenomena, you can maybe use what you're learning and apply it to another pattern. And that actually, I wouldn't tell you about it if that hadn't worked for me before, but this sort of thing, where this thing matches like this, I've seen it happen in other symmetries and other patterns, even in origami, which is not like strictly Islamic origami, I'm saying. So that this kind of thing happens all the time. And now I'm noticing that we still need, well, we don't need it, but it's not entirely negligible. But as you can see, I'm just gonna mark it real quick, this star, because you know it might come handy. But this is the star that we were looking for. And there's an option that we have, which is to complete the star, because right now it only has 4 points. If we were to tile it, that is to say, if I were to combine it with the other guy that was on the other side, as you can see here, if I were to do the same thing to this guy, you can see that this is a 4-pointed star. And my folds are actually incomplete. Like if I were to complete it, if I were to make it actually an 8-fold, I don't have the line to make a bounce. This line that I just drew, this line is not there. So I can do a bounce to help me acquire it, but the pattern we're doing does not require it. But I'm gonna do it just for the kicks, just for the fuck of it, just to make you happy. So first off, it is the line you want to bounce, and then the line that's gonna bounce off of. And then that line that we wanted to bounce off of needs to fold completely, so that was the center, corner to the center, and then simply this will fall into place. It needs to actually be in place. So this shows that there's 2 levels of stars, there's 2 sizes of stars. There's a big star in the center here, and there's a little star over here. So let's see, now that I sort of got it, let's see where this guy was going. Let's see, first, well, I noticed that there's a lot of lines here. All these lines are parallel, so I need them to match. I need all of these to fall into place. And now after that, I need just to be sure that I'm at the right spot. So that means that at this intersection, I need to be bouncing this off of. So let's see if I can find another relationship I can base the rest of the folds in, so I can just get this over with. So I see the tiny bit of fold here. I see that this line matches to that. I see there was another one I saw. I guess this one also works. Yeah, apparently that one works as well. So this whole line falls on this radial division. So that's something. That's something. We could do that. All right, let's do it. There are ways to do it, so I'm going to show you another way. So I'm going to do the bounce. So this is a very big line, goes right through a very clear mirror line, which is this middle. So I can just go forth in there. You see that? And so now the line is copied. I'm starting to see a little weave there, a little thing is happening, and that will actually level the pattern. So if it's just going to be eightfold, now my mirror line is going to be here, right? Because when I bounce it off of this guy, it gave me these two, right? So these two lines were folded, and now that I got this one, I want it to bounce off of this guy because now I want it to be on this other side, right? So I can just keep that bounce going. So as you can see, I'm just setting it down. And the thing about the bounce though is that it can be kind of tricky. Honestly, it can be kind of tricky. It's very easy to fall for the tricks. And that means that somehow, some way, the line sometimes finds a way to sort of deviate from where you want it to go. Like for instance, right now I'm noticing that it kind of deviated. So I need to recheck this. I need to refold, rematch. So sometimes the bounce is not the best tool in the inventory. Sometimes actually this sort of thing. So let's see. It's this guy. So it's this guy over here. Second line, this guy. And it goes to, not the quadrant line. Wait a minute. Well, this one actually is missing a little bump. See, that's the trick about these bounces, man. They're not always the best. And we're not even going to use this line. This is just aesthetic. Me getting carried away. But it does make a nice thing to it, so. Let's see, there was another reference we found, right? It was just this to this. So let's try that. Let's take away these guys. And we fold that to a radial line, right? So we take away this guy and we put it on the radial line. A little higher. And this guy. Same, a little higher. Match the radial line. But this is, yeah, I missed that completely. I got the wrong line there. Again, this part of the video is completely optional. This is not, this is a shame that it's taking me so long to do something so, it's as if I was making a chess video and I was going through a tangent going like, oh yeah, but if you did this move, this whole thing would have happened. But let's not think about that too much. It's sort of what I'm doing, sort of. But I'm almost done, so I might as well, right? And I'll make a nice little variation of the pattern, so that might also be something to write home about, I guess. Not really, but hey. Higher, higher. Okay. So we're pretty much done. Let's see. Right here I'm noticing that this guy is off. But not this guy, the other guy. The combination guy. So you see, I was wrong, because now that I'm looking at it, this one is actually higher than the radial line. So this reference that I was doing was off. This is not the actual reference I was looking for. You see, sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes things you think are aligned in the certain way that you want them to be, and you force them, and they're not really that. But apparently some are working, some aren't. Most of them aren't. So I'm just going to stick to the pattern. And you can kind of see the weave. If I would have done it right, the weave would still be there. But yeah, we're going to stick to the pattern. So I'm going to get my pen here, this pattern is pretty much done. It was done a while ago too. Shame that I took this tangent, but hey. So these patterns usually require us to find where the line stops bouncing. So it goes from here to the radial line, which is here. This is going to be the bounce. It goes here and then bounces off. And then it'll hit here. And then it'll bounce off again. So this line has a little L shape to it. So this line goes from here, hits, and off it goes. Goes where it goes, hits, and back it bounces off. Yeah. And so now this guy goes all the way from here and then hits here. It goes all the way. Whoop, hits. Now this line, just to complete this quadrant that I have here, this one goes from this point to there. This one goes from here all the way down to here. And then bounces off to finish. And this one hits here. The following line, so I'm going to do just following the line. So it goes from here, it hits there. And from here it bounces on out, hits there. Hits, bounces. So as you can see, if I hadn't done this sequence to finish it, this system, so we're just going to finish, this is like one star. This is like one step of the pattern. And so that usually means that if we did the other system in another color, it will show us how there's two levels. It's a dual layer kind of pattern. So if you ignore this, I'm sorry, but if you ignore this, you could see how this star here and these littler stars, smaller stars are, and then there's a big star over here. That's the first level of the pattern. We could do this in one color, but because I did this already in black, I'm just going to keep everything in the same color. But pretty much, then we could just complete this one. And remember, it goes all the way. It's pretty convenient. Same, this guy goes from here all the way out. This one goes here all the way out. And same here, this guy all the way out. All the way out. All the way. There we go. So that's the pattern itself, but there's more that we could do to it. Just gonna see the timing on this thing. Oh, I was off. See, this is why I have this little piece of paper here. It's supposed to tell me. 30 minutes in. Let's see how much battery is left in this thing. Can't see the battery. Still plenty of battery. Okay. Might as well go for it, right? So I'm going to completely ignore the thing I did here to be cute, like the thing I did to finish this off or whatever. This thing I did here, I'm gonna completely ignore it, which, just so you see, like it completes an 8-fold star, pretty much. But it has this weird thing inside, and then if you keep it going, it kind of disrupts it a little bit. So again, ignoring it. So yeah, please, if you got this far and you're deciding, yeah, avoid completing this star. This is good enough. So now there's a point here. This point is from the corner where it touches, and it goes from here to where it touches there. So at this point, which we could continue this line, we want now to have a line that goes right down. So it's not at a half, but we're gonna find it. Let's see. I can tell that there's the intersection I'm looking for. At the same time, I can see that this line, which is part of the pattern, is keeping going. So you can see that this line is keeping straight, so I can just look out for that, right? But what about this guy? So I'm looking at the intersection here, and I'll find that this line also continues. See that? And then here, this line will also continue. Next one we said was going to be here, and these stars there, we're going to continue there. Same thing up top. Here, these lines, the intersection, minding that it stays squared up top. And so now that I have the rest of them, I'll see that this intersection is actually my point. There's actually a point where I can fall on. It's probably underneath this paper too, but we can't see it, but yeah. Alright, cool. So now that we have that, well, we just need it over here as well, just to keep congruency. So same thing goes through there, and then this would need to go through here. And as we can see, this line just completely falls on itself. And this also hits right where it touches. So this one actually needs to go a little higher. So when I fold this down, it hits right at the corner there. So same, I'm just keeping that sequence going pretty much. This is in order to keep the pattern from popping out too much. You'll see what I mean when we're there, but this will help us keep it under control, on the wraps. Also something we could do, maybe for another lesson, another day, you could actually change the angle of incidence. We should actually keep this pattern, but instead of having this line that I have in black here, we could divide this further. And so like the line that goes between this and then same thing where it hits this line, it bounces off and goes back. That's also an option that would give a pattern and would be satisfying. Usually some patterns don't have these sort of, like you gotta know where to go, either less or more. But if we go the other way, so if we go the half over here, it's too skinny and these become too overwhelming. But if we fold this a little further, these get a little volume. It kind of freaks you out because you don't recognize the shape, right? It looks weird. So that's something that you could also think about. So, okay, I think we got all our lines in. I think I can also erase this for now. So this line here that I'm folding this octagon down on, that's the line that we found. No, that's not it. No, the lines we found are, where are they? Oh, they're up top. Oh, but I need them to be there, don't I? Yeah, they're there. Okay, so rather than folding the octagon shape, we're going to go a little bit down. You feel that? Those extra folds I did for this star, small star that I have there, are getting in the way, so definitely do not recommend those. I was trying to be cute, and that's what you get. So what I'm trying to do here is just keep an eye out for the valleys and mountains of the thing. So as you can see, the mountain follows a mountain. So that's why I needed this shift. Because if I had this as a mountain, it's not wrong, but it sort of starts to come into a little bit too aggressively, and I kind of wanted to set it down so that I can actually see the pattern. Although it works, I will say that it does work. It does look nice. You also see that it sort of collapses real nicely. So if we can apply what we're applying here, oh wait, we're still not done. So in order for this quadrant to be done, we need to do this thing to the center. So I'm just gonna first apply it to this quadrant, and I'm just gonna spread it around. So this one goes in and goes out. So my finger's on the other side there, and it's sort of pushing this thing, it's helping me. If your folds don't match, try to refold the radial lines in the other way. So if it's a mountain, make it a valley. If it's a valley, make it a mountain. So in this way, you get to actually kind of have this, I feel that it's more alive. So same thing over here. So now this actually is the making the 3D thing of it, which takes longer than a lot of the things we're doing. Yeah, I need to get to work. It's amazing how you can procrastinate with work. I can procrastinate work doing other work. Because this is work. It's fun. Because I'm just, just talking about the pattern that I sort of like discovered and designed. I'm trying to teach it to people so they do it, and it's fun. It's exciting. But at the same time, I know that there are these lingering responsibilities. But one of them is it's all this time that I spent like figuring these patterns out, that if, well, God forbid, but if something does happen to me, like I take them with me. Unless I share them. If I don't share them, they go with me until somebody else comes along to them, because somebody will come along to them. I have no doubt in my mind that these things are just part of nature. And these are different. Although they do have personality, and I sort of like put my little taste on them, these somehow are more natural than, let's say, like a rabbit or a butterfly that somebody might design, a Ronald Coe rabbit or a Michael LaFoe's butterfly, right? Or anything by Kunihiro Kasahara, right? Those guys are just like all about personality and style, and they find these like alleys, these deep ways between the folds, and they just find all these things that there's no way that anybody else could find them. I don't think. It's too improbable. And although that these patterns are, they've been around for I don't know how long, like they've been around for a while. These patterns, these Islamic patterns. But I don't know who else has thought about folding them in this way. But I know that they are all about like making things 3D. There's no proof or disproof that they actually folded the patterns themselves from back in the day. I see a lot of the people from the Muslim world, either in Spain or the Middle East, because a lot of people from Iran follow the Instagram page. And I've seen some videos of YouTube of some people folding, figuring this out. Differently. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, just making the valleys, making the mountains, making the valleys, making the mountains, just popping and locking, popping. So this, for instance, I'm putting these together, and then I'm missing this to go up. You hear that dog? That dog wants to come into the room, because that dog gets to sleep on my bed. When I'm not in my bed, the dog likes to lay on my bed and just sleep. And I give her little pets, and I give her little treats. And when she's not with me, she cries and gets sad. But she makes a lot of noise. But I can't help it. She's too good. Just a second. Treat dog nice enough so they're crying for something that they wouldn't get otherwise. But it's better than having one of those dogs that just wants to get out and like is not appreciative of the love you give it. Now this dog really appreciates the love you give her. Oh good lord. So I'm wasting a lot of time because I didn't pre-crease properly. That is to say, like, these folds are not mountains as they should be, so I'm just like interchanging, so I can just save time if I had folded this the other way from the very beginning. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you for following, for cherishing, keeping the spirits up. See this that happened here? This is because of the little star I tried to do. Yeah, feel free to put this in 2x speed and put some music in the background. Feel free. So there are ways to anticipate for this. That is to say, there are ways to make this more efficient. And that is just really pre-creasing properly, making sure that where there's a valley, there's a valley, where there's a mountain, there's a mountain. And just respecting that. But see, with this little other star we did inside the star, that allows us to do this decoration of the thing. You see that, how it hides, instead of just popping out at you very violently. This sort of lays, but still sprouts somehow. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm sorry if the thing got out of frame. 48 minutes. I think I was definitely out of frame. This little paper is there. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.